And before I share this, I've discussed this with Tori last week. This is a piece that is very dark and deals with very unsettling themes. It is not graphic, however, and it is creative, non fiction. And the piece is entitled The Soldier Who Did Not Exist. Oh, I got to put my glasses on so I can read. It was unspeakable. It must be a horrid nightmare. It could not have been him because he and his buddies did not exist. They were unreal and had stepped off the page of a field manual that had not or ever could be written. But the unofficial field manuals that their heads held were easily recalled. In fact, they hardly needed to be recalled at all because they were there, always in the forefront of their consciousness. It was the only way to survive over there. Vietnam, his missions did not exist. His personnel jacket did not exist. His LESs did not exist. He was paid in gold bars by some shadowy figure, most likely from the CIA. Yet he did exist and was sobbing with mucus steadily streaming from his nose and dripping into his face, onto his face, his mouth, his chin. His shirt was soaked and it dripped onto his pants and the shoes, and the gobs formed a pile of ineffable misery, sadness, grief, and pieces of his broken heart on the ground. I I just got caught up in the insanity, he said in a barely audible voice, but he did not speak this sentence at one time. It took him nearly 20 minutes to complete his thought as his heaving sobs interrupted his ability to speak. But as his VA combat trauma therapist, I wondered if it was the sobs or the emergency psychological defense mechanism his conscious brain was fighting to keep what had been locked away deep in his unconscious brain from surfacing. It was more the latter than the former. At the time, he was a 19-year-old long-range reconnaissance patrol from the 173rd Airborne assigned to the Studies and Observation Group. He was inured to combat and killing, not with his rifle, artillery, armor, airstrikes, or mortars, but with his Mark 11 Bowie knife, his favorite. Machetes and a host of edged weapons, for his family had come from Scotland many, many years ago, and every Scot who goes to war carries edged weapons. The scene he described was surreal, but it was real at the same time. Living surrealism. She was young, but she was still Viet Cong, and she had been setting booby traps that had killed several of his brothers. They were supposed to capture her and bring her back to the rear where she would be processed as an official prisoner of war, but they were hundreds of clicks from the rear. So she was not a POW. It was 5.5 inches long, 2.5 inches in width. The effective killing range was 30 to 150 meters, but this would be much closer and very much more personal. And it would fit. He had modified the Willie Pete grenade, white phosphorus, with a time pencil fuse, which he set for 30 minutes. Damn that dink bitch, he said, as it was inserted. They left her like that, tied against a tree with 30 minutes to contemplate a most hideous and infernal death. Congreve, in his play, The Mourning Bride, stated, Heaven hath no rage like love to hate turned, nor hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. He was wrong. Hell hath no fury like a 19-year-old alert caught up in the soul-crushing insanity of Vietnam. After he stopped crying, he looked at me with haunted eyes and said, I never killed or tortured a POW.